Are they starting to spin out of control a little bit? It feels like, the national media is starting to get their hands on the conversation. It does feel like that the conversation around the San Francisco 49ers quarterback is starting to head in that direction that we know all too well. Let's talk about it right now. Let's get to the bottom of it and see where we go from here. You already know what to do. Smash that like button, drop an SDS in the chat. Let's get it. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What's going down, gang? Happy Thursday to you all. We are in the thick of the off season. Can you feel it? It's getting to that point where we're getting, we are sitting here with our thoughts and our feelings, what we hope for the season, what we think will be for this season. And it does feel like we're starting to spin a little bit. And I just wanted to see, maybe I'm the only one who's feeling that way, but I would imagine that maybe you guys are feeling that as well. So I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. And of course, we'll talk about how the SDS manages these types of situations. And of course, shout out to all the SDS, shout out to all the Bread gang. Good to see you guys. Michael says, always a good day when Brad goes live. I appreciate that, man. Jerry Rice in the building. Let's go. We got Win Noties. Love to see it. Shout out all the SDS, man. One thing that I can count on is the SDS for bringing good vibes, good energy. Make sure you join the Discord. Chilly out here cooking. But look, I want to add, let's start just by asking you guys. Because as you guys know, I really like to interact with you. I don't like to just, speak into the camera. I like to kind of get a back and forth and kind of understand where you guys are feeling. Like, are you, and this is on multiple levels, right? It's national media, it's content creators, it's fans, it's everything in between. Basically anything that involves 49ers in the content cycle. Are you starting to feel that it is kind of becoming divisive? It really is starting to come towards Brock Purdy versus Trey Lance, or Trey Lance versus Brock Purdy, or Trey Lance versus the world, or Brock Purdy versus the world. Are you kind of feeling that narrative or that energy, whether you're on social media, whether you watch these ESPN shows? Again, we have probably one of the richest content creator communities in all of sports, so you can get opinions from anywhere. But does it feel like it's starting to like turn against each other? Like, and we know it very well, right? We saw it with Jimmy Garoppolo when it was just Jimmy, right? Everyone, there was a large subsection of fans who didn't like Jimmy, and there was another subsection that loved Jimmy, and then those two kind of turned on each other. Then it was like Trey Lance enters the mix, and then it was like perfect. Those two kind of went at each other. Now Jimmy's kind of out. Now Brock Purdy feels like he's kind of taking over. It's just like, at what point can we come together and want both young men to be successful? And both have crazy different circumstances. Crazy different circumstances. They're both at different levels in their career. They're both dealing with injuries. They both have, they're not, it doesn't feel like it's an apples to apples comparison. when we're talking about Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. It feels like each one of them has their own individual set of circumstances, but it's like we're trying to like force. I don't know if it's a force or it's just natural human nature to kind of pit them against each other. But I just want to talk about it because, as you guys know, I don't like to do that. I'm big on, you know, who's going to, who's on the San Francisco 49ers, first of all, and who's going to help the San Francisco 49ers be successful. I'm never going to root against one of our own. It's happened twice. And I've talked about it many times. You guys probably know I wasn't a big fan of uh what's his name? Can't even think of his name right now. Josh Norman. I wasn't a fan. I did not want him on the team. Like it there's so it's not where I typically land, but it's not like it doesn't happen. Um the tackle that retired twice on us. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name either. Uh I don't like him either. But I don't like try to go into like into these topics, these conversations, and pick a side. I feel like you get away. Anthony Davis, thank you. Couldn't stand him. I liked him at first, but he after the first time retiring on us, I was like, nope, never again. And then he retired again because he couldn't win the starting job over Trent Brown. But that's beside the point. Chili says Discord is split even on if we want Trey or Brock. Also, check out our opponents for next year. I haven't heard you talk about them. Well, that's a good point, Chili. Shout out Chili for cooking over there and modding up our Discord. If someone's got the link, drop it in the chat. You can, of course, join our Discord. That, shout out Chili, man. He's out here cooking. But again, it's like when we're getting to this conversation, I feel like I'm starting to get omissions. Bubbly just dropped the Discord link in the chat. Make sure you tap in with that. But I feel like we're starting to get emissions of reality on both sides if you have a strong opinion one way or the other, and it's absolutely okay to have a strong opinion, especially if you're in the media or you're doing content. Like, I wouldn't expect it to be any other way. Typically, you're not going to generate, much of any type of engagement if you're just always walking the line, right? Or whatever, just going down the middle. But so I understand having a strong opinion one way or the other. It just feels like there's starting to be an omission of, there's starting to feels like it. For example, it's like we have Keyshawn Johnson talking on ESPN, and I get it. Like, we want to see Trey Lance be successful. We want to see Trey Lance get an opportunity. We want to see what he could even do. Like, we just want to see, like, what Trey Lance can be. We don't know yet. But on the other hand, we have a decent sample but not a full sample of Brock Purdy. And of course, it's recent. It's the last thing we saw. And we've only seen Brock Purdy lose a football game because he actually couldn't throw the football. Other than that, Brock Purdy has been really good considering he's a rookie, all the circumstance that follows where he was drafted, all that stuff. But again, if we're being objective and we just strip away the perception, we strip away the draft compensation, draft selection, draft slots, we strip it away and we just watch the tape or we look at the stats. Like, you just look, you see we look at I look at Brock Purdy and I'm like, there's a guy that operated Kyle Shanahan's offense better than we have seen since he was an Atlanta Falcon offensive coordinator. So that's where I'm at with Brock. I don't his draft selection doesn't like make or break him one way or the other. I just try to evaluate Brock Purdy on how he plays. But then when you look at Trey Lance, you try to evaluate the way Trey Lance played, and you kind of have an incomplete evaluation because you look at the game against Arizona, his first start. It was a weird offense. They never got in rhythm, and I think part of that was due to play calling. And so I'm not going to put that on Lance. I've talked about it a lot. The 49ers win that game if George Kittle is playing. I believe in my heart of hearts that week 5 Arizona 2021, if George Kittle is starting, they win that game because in that game they ran so much 12 personnel. 12 personnel is 2 tight ends, but they ran it with Dwelly and Warner, and that was the step back game for Dwelly. And I can look at like 3 or 4 plays that could have been touchdowns if you just swapped Dwelly with Kittle. One of the goal line stuffs would have been a touchdown because you know for a fact Kittle would have came down blocked on a linebacker, kicked the linebacker out. Trey Lance would have walked in for a touchdown. So I don't put that all on Trey. There's a lot of circumstances. Trey gets hurt. So it just feels like, and then, we don't see Trey until Houston. But guess what? Trey won that game in a must-win game to be able to get into the playoffs. First half, kind of like that Arizona game. Second half against the Texans, it was a different story. And 100%, that 2-minute drive is like what opened everything up for Trey. He even talked about it in that mic'd up to George Kittle. But I think one of the hardest things that Trey has going for him is just the lack of consistency between games, reps, things like that. So I don't want to see our fan base divided on it. I just feel like, and I don't want to. The reason why I'm kind of talking about it because I feel like pretty soon the media is going to be looking for engagement and how to drive engagement, and they're going to sink their teeth into, is this Trey or is this Brock's job? And it feels like they're going to try to get us against each other, and I don't want that to happen. So basically what I'm trying to say is I can see it on both sides. Greg Cosell went on with Mayoko and Jennifer Lee Chan. He also talked about Brock Purdy as, missing throws, missing reads, not hitting things on time. And yes, that's true. That's very true. Brock wasn't perfect. He missed some things. He left some things out there on the field. But what is the context here? The context is we're talking about a guy that everyone in the NFL didn't think could play, but he still proved he could. Does that mean he's the next Peyton Manning? I don't know. But it's just kind of this kind of back and forth that we keep hearing. And both quarterbacks are coming off injury. So it just feels like we're in a big wait and see period with both Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. And I guess I can speak to the SDS, the sourdough squad. Yeah, dude, I saw that. I was crazy. They had Brock Purdy going number 4 overall in a redraft of last year. I was like, hold up. Wait a minute. Like, you guys know I like Brock Purdy. Like, I loved what I saw from Brock Purdy last year. The way he executed the offense, clearly commanded the respect of the locker room and his coaches in trust and faith. That's a huge part of playing quarterback. But even still, he still doesn't have elite traits. You know what I mean? He doesn't have elite measurables. So I don't know if he would go top 5. I think you could make the argument like, okay, maybe second, third round. Like we could talk about Brock Purdy as a second, third rounder. But again, there's just such small sample size with both quarterbacks. We don't know enough for either for any one of us to make any grand statements, proclamations of what they are, what they aren't. We're still trying to figure it out. And they're both coming off injury. And there's another evaluation. There's another step in the evaluation process, which is how do they both rebound? We're going to find out. So, Trey Lance is going to have that opportunity. We're going to see how Trey Lance balls out. Shout out to Don Bird, chat legend. Good to see you, my guy. J Tho 11 says last year should be seen as a preview for this year. Media and fans will be going at it all off season. End of the day, it's who's healthy. Doesn't need to be a side. We have 2 great quarterbacks. Great. I agree. I think we have to remember, the side that we are on is the San Francisco 49ers side. I know we get caught in this kind of conversation of being critical and being a fan, and like these two worlds can both coexist. Like you can be a fan who's critical and all these things. Like we don't have to just look at everything through fan goggles, but we can also, I guess, be a little bit more thoughtful about the critiques that we give or the opinions that we might have, less emotional, more thoughtful, if that makes sense. Because I think when you get wrapped up in the emotions of wanting one guy to succeed over the other, that's when you start to like subconsciously root against the other guy, even if you're not actually trying to do it. So I just hope that we can continue through this off season wanting success for both quarterbacks. And right now, Trey Lance is up. Brock Purdy is not. Brock Purdy is going to be out for the majority of the offseason program. So let's see what Trey has. Listen, it's a dog eat dog world. We understand not everything is going to go perfectly. Hasn't gone perfectly for Trey, and it's now not going perfectly for Brock, but it's okay. It's ebbs and flows. Now, Trey Lance has an opportunity in front of him. Let's give him that opportunity. But we're also going to have to insulate that quarterback room. We're going to have to bring in more talent. We're going to have to bring probably a veteran or draft a rookie. It's going to have to happen because we've seen it. Injuries happen, things happen. But right now, Trey Lance has an opportunity, so take advantage of it. Shreddy Murphy says Nick Sirianni didn't have this problem. Check my chats. What do you mean by that? What problem are you talking about? I'm going to need some clarification on that one. Nick Sirianni didn't have this problem. Check my chats. Yeah, I'm going to need some clarification on that one. If you can clarify, I'll come back to it. I honestly believe if Kyle, your Judy, trust Trey, Lily, he did with Brock, we could see a much better Trey than people expect. I honestly believe if Kyle, your Judy, trust Trey, Lily, where's the Judy and the Lily? I'm sorry. That one's throwing me for a ringer here. I don't know if I'm just misreading it. Uh, I honestly believe if Kyle your Judy trusts Trey Lily, he did with I don't know. Oh, thank you. That makes more sense. I'm over here having over here having a stroke midstream, man. Um, I'm borderline dyslexic already. My ADHD be popping off. So if you guys make one slight like deviation and maybe some spelling, my mind is like, okay, let's reset. I honestly believe if Kyle treated, trusted, trust Trey like he did Brock. Okay, I think I understand what we're saying here. Woo! Let me bring it back here. Okay, I think I got it. My goodness. I think I get it. I think I get it. Okay. Honestly believe if Kyle trusted Trey like he did with Brock, we would see a much better Trey than people expected. Boom. Got it. Got it. Um, I don't necessarily disagree with you. That's always been something that I've had questions about. I've always wondered why there's two offenses. Now, I understand why there would be variations to Trey Lance's offense, but it just felt like Trey's offense was called significantly different. Now, there might be answers to that. I don't know if it's Kyle 100% or if it's Trey 100% or it's just kind of a combination of both. Just them trying to figure it out. Them trying to piece together what Trey can actually execute. Because again, I think it is important to remember that Kyle has a very, very complex scheme. And we don't know how Trey's picked it up. I mean, what we've heard is that he picked it up, and we heard he picked it up faster than expected. Um, so is it a processing thing? Is it a mental capacity thing? Is it a skill set thing? I don't know why the offense looks so much different. Um, but that's why it's been hard because we haven't even got Trey Lance games in succession. We got one game at the beginning of the year, 2021, one at the end. We got then one game in a monsoon, and then we got like one drive against the Seattle Seahawks. So I don't think we even really know what I don't think we really know what Trey's scheme is. Like we think we might know, but I don't think we do. Because I think for Trey Trey and Kyle, they just need time. Like, right? Just like anything. You're with a new team at work or you got new employees, this, that, the other thing. There's some time for getting like a rhythm built, like understanding, like, okay, you do well in this situation, not so well here, and building a game plan around that. So yeah, I agree in I definitely agree with part of that sentiment is we just don't know like 100% why it feels different. We believe if they were more closely related in regards to scheme, it would be more successful. But I hear what you're saying. So it'll be interesting. Chili says Wagner, Warner, Greenlaw. Um, I I think last year I would have definitely be down for Wagner. This year I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I think Wagner would have slid to LB2 last year if he signed in the off season. I think now because Greenlaw has 100% solidified himself as LB2, I don't think Wagner would want to be the nickel kind of rotational linebacker like we saw from Aziz. Um, he would only be playing like half the snaps. I don't know if he'd want that. And I don't think he'd want to sit down Greenlaw. So I think Wagner's best shot, and there was interest last year. I mean, it was reported from Ian Rappaport that the San Francisco 49ers were 100% interested in Wagner. They would sign they were about to sign Wagner if he was for it, but he made the wrong decision. He thought the Rams were going to repeat. Nope. Boy, was he wrong. And that's probably why they came to a mutual parting because the Rams aren't going to compete next year either. So he wants to go to a contender. He went to the wrong team. He made a bad decision to play for the Rams. Um, but last year, I think, was the window. I don't think, I think that window's probably closed because you're going to ride with what Greenlaw has developed into. And again, if you're bringing Wagner on to be the third, he's rotational at that point. So I don't think in that situation he would. Shaq Thompson, is he a free agent? Shaq Thompson is an interesting. He's interesting because for multiple reasons. I like Shaq Thompson as a player. I've kind of been following him since he was in high school, along with like Eric Armstead. Like there was a group that came out of Sacramento. They had the like Elk Grove area, I think it was. They had some prospects, and I remember that was back when I was such a football degenerate that I was checking out like who Cal was going to sign, and I was looking into like high school prospects before they signed with colleges. Uh, so he was one of those guys that I knew coming up before he went to college. We had his brother. When I say we, Cal had Shaq Thompson's brother. I forget his first name. He played cornerback for Cal, and I thought we were going to be able to get Shaq Thompson too, but Shaq went somewhere else. But I like Shaq. He's from California. Um, Obviously, we have his former defensive coordinator. Uh, it does appear that anyone who's played for Wilkes in Carolina had great respect for Steve Wilkes, the 49ers' new defensive coordinator. So if it's a possibility, yeah, why not? I mean, he's getting up there and he might be in one of those I'm looking for a contender. If that means I have to take kind of a, you know, rotational role at this stage in his career, maybe he does that. But is he even a free agent? I'm looking right now. It doesn't look like he's a free agent. But long story short, yeah, I like Shaq Thompson. I just have to confirm if he's a free agent or not. Shout out Purdy Production. Appreciate the $2 you sent over. $1, $2. Um, Oh, Justin dropping the dubby. Shout out, Justin. Oh, we have an important message from our director of sourdough scouting. He says, Brad, I've been watching Missouri Edge Isaiah McGuire for a week, probably my equivalent of a draft son. See a lot of mixed opinions on him. Would love to know your thoughts if you get a chance to look at him. I will definitely take a look. Isaiah McGuire. Let's see here. Do something really quick. See if I can maybe pull a little something up on him. Isaiah McGuire. Make sure I'm spelling it correctly. Isaiah McGuire. Who does he play for? He plays for Missouri. All right. I'll have to look it up. I don't want to have you guys watching me search a bunch of stuff. But I'll definitely look into it. See ya. Wow. I'll look it up. I'll definitely look into it, and I will definitely give you my thoughts. Definitely look into it. Is it Trent Williams last year? I don't think so. I really don't. As long as the San Francisco 49ers continue to, I think, keep their core together, I think with Trent, as long as the 49ers are competing for playoffs, as long as they are competing for or pushing for championships, he's going to play. He's under contract till he's 39. He's 34 right now. So I would say he will be here as long as the San Francisco 49ers are competing. If we ever get into a situation where we're looking around and we're like, "Oh no, we're in a rebuild right now," I think he'll retire. So they just have to be competitive. If they're not competitive, that's when we got to really worry about Trent. But I think, he's got a big contract coming his way. So I could see him being around. So are we playing Purdy? I really do believe that if Purdy was healthy, Purdy would be the starter going into OTAs. We've heard it from the players. We felt it from the coaching staff and the organization. They really like Purdy. And we also have to, I have to remind myself of this too. Like, I understand where Trey Lance was drafted. I understand how much draft capital was given up to go get him. But at the end of the day, they've had him long enough that that doesn't matter at a certain point, because we have to use the examples of like Trey Sermon. The San Francisco 49ers traded draft capital to move up into the draft into the third round and take Trey Sermon. They cut Trey Sermon in favor for an undrafted free agent. So, like, at a certain point, yes, where you were taken, the amount of compensation that was given up to get you will give you some leash and will give you some preferential treatment and things like that. But at the end of the day, especially when they've gone out and won games like Purdy has won, they're more interested in the result. You know what I mean? Like, they're more interested in what they've seen. So, but that doesn't mean Trey Lance is out. because Purdy's having the injury, I think Trey Lance has a golden opportunity in front of him where he can take quarterback one. But that's I think the key word in that sentence is take. He has to take it. And that's a tough position to be in for Trey Lance. Like we talk about all the pressure that's been on Trey. Trey has been, we talked about Trey Lance landed in the best spot imaginable. I actually don't know if Trey Lance landed in the best spot imaginable because based on everything that we've come to learn about Trey, it sounds like he's needed some time to develop. And the San Francisco 49ers aren't a team that are in developmental mode. They're in a win now mode. And I think they made that abundantly clear when they kept Jimmy Garoppolo in 2021 and started him. Which again, I didn't like. I thought 100% you go with Trey Lance. As a rookie, you drafted him that high. He needs reps. Start him. But they felt more confident or comfortable with Jimmy Garoppolo at that time. And I think that's because partly due to the locker room of they wanted to win now. And although Trey Lance, I think, is more talented than Jimmy, um, Jimmy knew the playbook. Jimmy knew the locker room. Jimmy had the intangibles down where I think Trey was still trying to pick that up. So I think if they were to give him the starting role as a rookie, yeah, we'd probably talk about it as the best spot for a rookie. Uh, but at least for Trey specifically, I mean, we saw how Brock operated. Clearly, the talent around him helped a ton. Um, we saw what he was able to do on screen passes to CMC, RPOs to CMC, RPOs to Kittle, hitting Aiyuk, Debo. We saw how the weapons around him really helped Purdy. But I don't know. I don't know if it. That's the thing. It's like we don't know. I don't know. We can best we can do is just give hypotheticals at this point because we don't know what Trey would have looked like if he started. Like you remember Trey Lance threw the first touchdown in 2021. Do you remember that? And I don't think the locker room liked it. They felt it was disrespectful to Jimmy for Jimmy to remember against who did we play? Was that Detroit Lions? Right? Like Jimmy leads them all the way down to the field. Trey Lance comes in. First touchdown of the year was it was like a whip route or something to Trent Sherfield. And then we never saw Trey Lance again. Because I don't think they liked it. I don't think they it's a weird situation. So on paper, was it the best situation? Of course. But in reality, was it the best situation? I don't know. I don't know. I almost believe that Trey Lance would have been better off on the Bears or on the Jags or I don't know. Maybe the Jets, but I would say more the Jags. Oh, the Jags. No, not the Jags. Jags this year. Jags year before? No. Jags with Urban Meyer, that would have been a disaster with anyone. So no, probably not the Jags. Probably best situation with the Bears with Nagy, probably not either. But the point being is there wouldn't be these expectations of going to a Super Bowl as a rookie. The expectation would be, what can he do? How can he operate? Let's see what Trey Lance, you know what I mean? And if it didn't work out well, it would be O's coaching. Oh, he has no weapons. Where I think that actually benefit Trey because when they would then build the weapons around him, he's one getting reps. They bring in better coaching eventually. They bring in the weapons. And then by that time that they are taking that ascension up, he's got the reps. Like Justin Fields has an opportunity where he'll be going to year 3, hopefully have some weapons around him, have better coaching around him, better offensive line, and he might take that step because he's gotten the reps. We've seen glimpses. Now it's about doing it consistently. So it's going to be interesting, man. So we'll see how it goes. You know, I really, it really did feel like, management, Kyle Shanahan, they really wanted that veteran quarterback. I don't know how serious they were about getting Matt Stafford. It felt like it was either Stafford or Deshaun Watson. Like it really did feel like the San Francisco 49ers were all in that offseason on replacing Jimmy Garoppolo, but it wasn't replacing Jimmy Garoppolo with the rookie. You know, but it landed on that, and then it was, well, it's Mac Jones, right? But then it was Trey Lance. I don't know. The 2021 offseason will live forever in infamy. Who knows what would have happened if Deshaun didn't do Deshaun things? Oh, I'm right here. I hope that the point of also talking about all this today is I don't want to talk about it that much more. It's like because I'm starting to see where everything's heading. And the reason why I'm spending time on it now is so I don't have to address it necessarily in the midst of it all. I kind of want to get ahead of it. I kind of want to say my piece on it. I want to talk it, have this conversation with the SDS, kind of lay it all out, let us get our opinions out, our thoughts, our feelings, so that when we start getting bombarded with this former coach said this former GM said this about Lance, this former player said this about Purdy, like we just kind of take a step back, we'll talk about it, and we just move on. At the end of the day, right now, the reality is we need Trey Lance to be successful. We need Trey Lance to take advantage of this opportunity that he has, regardless of what other quarterbacks they bring in, but it's on Trey to take advantage of it. Prove to your haters, prove everyone wrong, prove to your franchise that believed in you enough to take you number 3 overall and trading the picks to get you. You got a lot that there's pressure that comes along with that. But we also understand pressure makes diamonds, right? Sometimes that type of pressure can bring the best out of people. We just hope that's what's going to be the situation for Trey. Trey has been under fire more than he's been celebrated. So, how does he internalize that? How does he manage that? Nothing's going to be given to Trey. Trey's got to take it. So let's see if Trey got that dog in him. And if Trey has that dog in him and he believes in his ability and he believes in his talent and what he's capable of, that's the best case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers. It's the best case scenario because if he comes into OTAs, MF and everyone, get in your spot, be quiet in the huddle. We're about this action. I'm trying to get better. Quit messing around. Like, hey, why did the vets, gravitate so quickly to Brock Purdy? One of the stories we heard about Brock Purdy is telling veterans in the huddle to shut up. And they're like, all right. Yes, sir. So that's what I think Trey Lance has got to do. Trey Lance he's gotta take it. He's gotta, what did they call horse blinders? He's got to put blinders on, not worry about what anyone else is talking about, not worry about what Brock Purdy did. Just straightforward, to the point, get it done. And he has an opportunity. Take advantage of it. So, can't change your circumstances. It's a privilege to be drafted that high. But what comes along with that is a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation. And, you can't feel totally bad for him. You just have to understand that these are the circumstances and this is how we cook. So we'll see how it plays out. To be honest, the real pressure needs to be on the San Francisco 49ers. The real true pressure shouldn't be on the individual young players. I think that's part, like, we put the pressure on them. The fan base, the media, because we love to talk about the quarterback. Listen, guys, I'm in the content business, if you haven't noticed. The best time, I believe, that I think I've had doing content is when the San Francisco 49ers knew who their quarterback was. And that was in 2018 when the 49ers signed Jimmy Garoppolo to the contract extension. He won 5 games in a row, and we were singing Kumbaya into that offseason. Oh, we see it. We're coming. We got our quarterback. Oh, that was the best. No one was arguing about anything. I could post a random picture of Jimmy Garoppolo, 10,000 likes on Instagram. Easy. Whole comment section hyping up Jimmy. The pressure's on the team. We make it about the quarterbacks, and for good reason. There is going to be naturally pressure that comes along with playing the position, but the pressure's on the team. The pressure's got to make one of these guys work. Have to. I don't know if you guys saw it. My dream of Taylor Lewan coming to play right tackle for the San Francisco 49ers lasted all of 16 hours. I was like, man, if there's any team that he would not play left tackle for, it would be the 49ers. Like, he's going to play left tackle for any other team. But if anyone can convince him, it's the 49ers. Taylor Lewan came out on Bustin' with the Boys podcast like, oh, yeah, I'm looking at about 30 teams. He's like, 30 teams? Not 31? He's like, yeah, no, the Niners have a phenomenal left tackle. He's like, basically like, I'm playing left tackle. Trent Williams is on the 49ers. I'm not playing left tackle. Specifically said he's not playing for the San Francisco 49ers. Shout out to Taylor Lewan for ingesting our content. we're out here stirring it up so much that he had to specifically say, "I'm not playing for the Niners." And so we're like, "All right." Hey, we got reach, baby. He's like, "Yeah, no. You can stop making all the swaps and the polls. I'm not playing for the 49ers." All right. It was a valiant effort for 12 hours. So who's next? Who's the next guy that we want? Can't wait. That's the best part of the off season. It's literally just on to the next. Like, what about this guy? What about that guy? Can we draft him? Should we sign him? Good times, man. Shout out Taylor Lewan. It definitely sounds like he's a ways out too. Sounds like he's got some stuff to do with the knee and is looking for a left tackle spot. So all power to him. All love. It was some fun content for a second. I got a live out of it, so I'm about it. Okay. So I'm seeing this right this second. Pro Football Focus Top 100 101 has 7 players. The PFF 101 has Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner, George Kittle, and Mooney Ward and Dre Greenlaw. I like it. I don't mind that. I like seeing Mooney Ward on there. Let's see. Nick Bosa was number 11. Does that seem low? That seems low for the depoy. Or excuse me, high? I think is that what I think that's too high? No, too low. I don't know. Not where it should be is what it comes down to. It should be top 10. I'll pull it up. We can look at it together. Let's see. Where's my visual aid? Here we go. All right. Shout out to Lindsay Polares for putting this together so we don't got to hunt it down right here in front of us. So, defensive lineman Nick Bosa, number 11 overall. Factor cap on Nick Bosa being number 11. Feels cap. And I think I saw someone in the chat say that Parsons was ahead of Bosa. How? How, Sway? Feels cap. Should be top 10. Trent Williams, number 13. Also feels like cap. When are they going to put this guy in the top 10? I don't get it. I don't get the is it just because O linemen aren't sexy? Is it because it's not a sexy position? Is it because people don't really get it unless they're either pancaking or losing? How is Trent not top 10? I think Trent was like on the NFL top 100. I think Trent Williams was like, what did he get voted at? Like 14 or something. And I remember the interview I could sense that Trent Williams was not happy with his ranking. I thought like this was the year. Like I was like Trent Williams should be the number one player in the NFL after 2021. Like I cannot stress to you how good of a season Trent Williams had in 2021. Like 20, even, shout out Trent, but his year in 2022, it didn't compare to his year in 2021. He definitely took a step back in 2022, but his 2021 was so impressive. The fact that the NFL top 100 put him outside the top 10, but they're like, oh, this is the highest we've ever had an offensive lineman. First of all, flawed that you've never had an offensive lineman in the top 15? Slanderous. And then you take the best season by any offensive lineman to ever play the game, and you're like, yeah, that's 14th best in the NFL. Oh, make the O-line great again. Come on, man. Why are they hating on the O-line? Trent Williams, top 10, should be top 5. Blasphemy. Running back Christian McCaffrey, 31. 31 seems a little high, but again, I'm not looking at the rest of the players. I don't know who they have in front of them. I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay with them at 31. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who's in front of them. I could see him more kind of top 25 category. Fred Warner, 34. I'm okay with it. I don't love it. I'm okay with it. George Kittle, 40. I'm okay with it. Don't love it. Definitely think he's a top 30 player. Again, I'm okay with 40. Don't love it. Charvarius Ward, number 61. I like it. I do. I'm okay with that. I like it. Because Charvarius Ward's getting some recognition. He's getting some love. I'll take that. I'll take 61. That's pretty damn good. That's the sign that the San Francisco 49ers hit on Charvarius Ward. I know 95% of you are like me that when the San Francisco 49ers signed Charvarius Ward to the deal that he got last year, y'all said, who? Straight up, you guys, just like me, did the Snoop Dogg gif where he's like, who? I was like, who? Who? Chiefs? Who's that? I was like, I had no idea who that is. I was like, damn. I thought I knew most of the players in the NFL. I was like, Charvarius Ward? Who is that? Shout out Charvarius. Shout out Mooney. Mooney's a dog. And shout out to the 49ers for digging that up. I mean, I don't watch every team in the NFL. So, and I definitely don't watch the Chiefs. So I had no idea. But I was very happy. Very happy with how that turned out. 100%. We know Mooney now. Mooney's a dog. That's cornerback 1 right now. Hopefully we can add E-Man back to the mix 2. That would be ideal. They had Myles Garrett at 6. PFF loves Myles Garrett. They see, that's the thing. PFF has to put Myles Garrett at 6 because for the last 2 years, Myles Garrett has been their highest rated player per PFF. So in their rankings, if their rankings don't reflect their grades, then do their grades matter? So their rankings have to match their grades. Parsons at 5? That's disgusting. So then why is Bosa defensive player of the year then? Interesting. Dre Greenlaw 86. I'll take it. I will take it. I'll take Dre Greenlaw at 86. I got no problems with that. I think that's not bad. I'll take Dre at 86. Travis Ward 61. I'll take it. George, I'm okay. Fred, I'm okay. CMC, I'm okay. I think they should all be bumped up. Trent Williams, not okay. Top 10 minimum. Nick Bosa, not okay. Top 10 minimum. What are we doing here? So, I'll open it up to you guys. Question time. If you guys have any questions, you want to drop in the chat. Any topic, any question, don't care. Spitball, fire them off. We go fast. We don't have to go long winded. Just kick back, answer some questions if you got them. Any talk about anything. They have Lane Johnson ahead of Trent. Oh, that's who was missing. Debo Samuel. Debo was kind of quiet this year, though. If we're being honest, he was kind of quiet. Definitely love to see a more production next year out of Debo. But I do think Debo's still a top 100 player. 100%. Not sure if this was discussed, but should we kick the tires on Wagner? I talked about it a little bit. I think last year would have been the year to kick the tires on him. I know they were interested in him. I know they wanted to sign him. He opted to sign with the Rams. I think because Greenlaw took that step forward that they really didn't know if he was going to, that makes Wagner, I think you would have to convince to take over Aziz's role. I don't know if he wants to take over Aziz's role of kind of being that nickel rotational linebacker. But if he would, if Wagner would want to come in and be LB3, sign me up. But I don't know if he would. Because I don't think you can bump Wagner ahead of Greenlaw right now. Again, at the beginning of the year, they hadn't given Greenlaw the extension yet. So they could have last year. I don't know about this year. It's crazy how things can change in 1 year. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I would definitely love him as a linebacker 3. I don't know if he would like it as linebacker 3. Depends on if he's trying to win another Super Bowl or not. Who you got if Mike doesn't come back? If Mike doesn't come back, Colton McKivitz is going to be the right tackle. I think he wins it over Jalen Moore. I honestly would just try to draft. I would definitely try to draft rather than try to bring someone in. I think they trust Colton McKivitz enough to give him the job. That anyone that you would be bringing in, I don't think is an automatic upgrade over McKivitz even. So I think you rock with McKivitz and you draft more tackles. And you're gonna have to try to hit on one in the third and fourth round. It happens. Um, Jamari Sailor for the Chargers, who I think was a phenomenal starting tackle for them. He was a 6th-round draft pick last year. He's a rookie. So it happens. Trent Brown. Trent Brown was a 7th-round draft pick. So you can find guys, but it's just got to be this like perfect storm of value. Uh, so it can happen. Again, my draft son Abe Lucas was a 3rd-round draft pick. So it can happen. So if I'd say at this stage it's McKivitz draft. I think that's how you got to rock at right tackle, and just try to find that guy, try to find that gem. Uh, what happened to Garoppolo? Garoppolo is going to get paid from someone that is not the San Francisco 49ers. So he won't be a Niner next year, which I will bet money on. I'm very confident that he will not play for the 49ers ever again. I know you like speed off the edge, but what if you find that kind of tweener edge who can kick inside like Arden Key? I like that too. I'm not opposed to that. I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm either at like pure pass rusher, or if you can't get me the pure pass rusher, get me the tweener. Get me the guy who can kick inside and rush over the guard and rush over the tackle, and play multiple roles, So I'm definitely okay with that. I think Arden Key is even available. Do we bring Arden Key back? 1-year deal? Cheap 1-year deal? I don't know. But yeah, get me all the Arden Key body types you can get. 100%. Jalen Moore sucks. Sorry. Listen, I haven't been the biggest Jalen Moore fan. I definitely don't like Jalen Moore at guard. If you want to, don't. I haven't seen anyone talk about Jalen Moore at guard this year, which makes me happy because I really didn't like that narrative last year. But Jalen Moore probably had the roughest stretch I've ever seen against the Denver Broncos this year. It's just bad. But I think he had to come in and play against, I think he started against the Panthers, against Brian Burns, against Barno. He played well. So Jalen Moore actually redeemed himself in my eyes. I was after that Denver game, I was like, I probably won't be too upset if we never see Jalen Moore again. But we had to see him very shortly after, and he played well. So I got to give him credit. He played like straight dookie against the Broncos, but he played actually pretty well against the Panthers. So I'll give him another shot. I'll give Jalen Moore another shot. If he didn't redeem himself against the Panthers, I would have been done. But he played well against the Panthers, so I got to give him that. Got to give him credit. Got to give him credit. A possible trade before the draft for a center or right tackle. See, I could see a possible trade, and I don't like the person that could be traded. You know what I mean? Because if it were up to me as a fan of the team and the player, I would love to see the San Francisco 49ers sign Brandon Aiyuk to a contract extension and make him a 49er for a long time. But I am very intrigued by what their thought process is to extend Ayuk, because this is the thing. I bet if I polled the chat right now, I'm gonna say 99% of you would extend Brandon Ayuk. I like it. We could even do it. Poll the chat. Would you sign Brandon Ayuk to a contract extension? Would you do that? I would imagine 99% of the chat. You might get like one no, maybe, but I would imagine that everyone's like runs to give Brandon Ayuk a check, right? As would I. But what I don't know is if they are thinking that way. You know what I mean? Because they've already paid Debo. You've got Trent on the books. You got Juszczyk. You've got Kittle. You got CMC. Uh, you're going to theoretically have a quarterback coming up. You're going to pay Bosa. I'm sure Fred, depending on what they do with him, they could shoot him a extension. Um, so do they pay Ayuk too? I don't know. I would. I don't know if they are. Um, I do believe they're going to pick up his 5th-year option, but this is where it gets tricky, because if they don't intend on signing him to a contract extension, they pick up his 5th-year option. That makes Brandon Ayuk probably the most valuable trade piece on the roster. And that's where I'm like, oh boy. Like, I think we all agree, like, Ayuk is trending up. Like, 2021, we didn't know at the beginning because he kind of went through that little dip. But since 21 and next year, I think we could all look at last year, him going for 1,000, and we can all like really look at it and be like, dude, Brandon Ayuk is a 1,500-yard receiver. Brandon Ayuk is a potential 10 to 12 touchdown type receiver. And I'm sure other teams can see that. He's 25. If they give him the 5th year, but they don't want to extend him just because they have money spread out to everywhere else, he could become the most valuable trade target. Like, you've got the Denver Broncos trying to trade Jerry Jeudy. Like, I think Ayuk is more valuable than Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy is a one-trick pony. Brandon Ayuk has made it crystal clear that he can clearly one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the NFL. He's one of the nastiest route runners in the NFL. And if he gets into a boat where he's catching 98% of the passes that hit his hands and gets targeted, this dude's going to be talked about as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So that's where, if you're talking possible trade, you got to put yourself in the 49ers front office shoes and how they see the long term. And that's the question you got to ask, right? Are they going to sign him to a contract extension? If the answer is yes, then a trade is not in the realm of possibility. Off the table. Don't talk about it. Don't think about it. We're signing Brandon Ayuk to a contract extension. That's it. But if they aren't, then he becomes the most valuable trade asset. So again, I don't know. I don't have any knowledge. Ayuk didn't say anything one way or the other that would make me feel that that would happen. I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking. So if you are looking to trade, he could be your top trade asset if you don't plan on extending him. So we'll see. We will see. I would really hope that they do sign him to an extension because I don't think he's done improving. I think he's going to get better. I think he really is going to improve. And if you can get him the ball with consistency, this dude is putting up numbers. Just like he said, I'm trying to get featured too. He wants the ball. Get him the ball. But you also need to get him a check, and that's what's going to be interesting. So I'm not, and I want to make it clear, I'm not manifesting a trade of Brandon Ayuk. Not even close. But I am thinking as realistically as I can. And if they just come up to a situation where they extend this guy, they extend that guy, they pay him, they pay Bosa, this guy, that guy, and they're like, we don't have enough. We could try to find value in other wide receiver twos. We run the football. CMC's like our wide receiver one, Debo's our wide receiver one. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But if we're up to me, give BA all the money. I'll love to see BA continue to evolve his game with the 49ers. I think that would be fantastic. But we'll see. Other than that, what other trades would we do? We're kind of we could trade some third rounders. See, that's the thing. Is like I don't know what the price tag are for other players on other teams. Like if the San Francisco 49ers have a lot of third round draft picks, they have some fourth round draft picks. I would be calling teams like, listen, we got third rounders, we got fourth rounders. And if you guys have like it basically be like 1 year rentals kind of a situation. Like if you guys have guys on the last year of their contract, you're not trying to extend them. They are starting caliber players, but you're trying to offload them for compensation before you have to extend them and get or let them go to free agency and not get anything for them. We'll kick you a third round pick for 1 year rental. Like I would be calling teams in that scenario. Like I would be like, all right, we got this compensation. How do we finesse it for the highest value? If that means, and we know the window is right now for this team to win. So if that means getting a center and trading some draft picks for a starting center because Brendel signed somewhere else, then I would consider it. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I hope that the 49ers are active again in trading. It really felt like, they kind of got their trade card revoked from ownership. It was kind of like you guys blew your wad on the Trey Lance trade. And you're not allowed to trade next year. And they didn't. So it'll be interesting to see if they get those kind of restrictions taken off them. Because to be fair, who have they traded up for? They traded up for Trey Sermon. That one didn't work. Right? They traded up for Trey Sermon. He's not even on the roster right now. They traded up for Reuben Foster. That one didn't work out too well. I'm trying to think I'm trying to think of scenarios where they traded up. Oh, they definitely the CMC trade was a hit, and we knew that was a hit in real time. I'm just thinking draft day trades, like during the draft, like trading draft picks to move up and down the board, like that kind of those kinds of trades. They've been phenomenal on trading for players. Think about it. They traded a fifth round draft pick for Laken Tomlinson. Phenomenal trade. They traded a fifth round draft pick for Trent Williams, probably the best trade, one of the best trades in NFL history. Who else did they trade for? Trent Williams, Laken Tomlinson. Anyone else? They traded up for BA. Good call on that. Good call on that. I like their trade backs, even though they haven't hit on who they took. I like the concept of trading back, but again, we don't have the first rounders. Um, what other players did they trade for? We talked about Ruben already. I'm trying to think from a like pro. They traded for pros. Obviously, CMC, the most recent one. That was a phenomenal trade. Oh, they traded for Emmanuel Sanders. So when it comes to trading for players, they've done a hell of a job. Trent Williams, Laken Tomlinson, Emmanuel Sanders, um, CMC. So they've hit on the proven players. So that's kind of where I would be. I would be like, yeah, if we have some third round picks that we're willing to kick around, uh, maybe we trade those for proven guys that we've done our scouting on that we know is going to fit our system, and maybe less on rookies. I don't know. They've been really good at the Omenahue. Thank you, Omenahue. So when it comes to trading for actual NFL players, they're killing it. They're killing it. Trent Williams, Laken Tomlinson, Omenahue, CMC, Emmanuel Sanders. Great, all great trades, all phenomenal values. Every single one of them. Phenomenal values, great players. Every single player that they traded for from an NFL team, they got more than they bargained for. I think they traded a fifth rounder for Emmanuel Sanders. So they've clearly done a great job at those trades. It's the draft day trades that haven't worked out. Did they trade for Jordan Willis? Was Jordan Willis a trade, or was Jordan Willis signed? I don't remember. Did they trade for Jordan Willis? Oh, they traded for Jimmy G. No, to be honest though, the Jimmy G trade wasn't that bad, because if you really talk about it from a okay, I forgot that Willis was a trade, and it was a low draft pick, so that one worked. Um, but the Jimmy Garoppolo trade, they gave up a second round pick. So I'm okay with the Jimmy trade. I think where we had more problems with the Jimmy trade was the massive contract after 5 games. Maybe hindsight being what it was, slap the franchise tag. Again, no one wants to get franchised. I get it, but it just didn't know. Felt like we knew. I don't know. But all things considered, a second round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo, that's not a bad trade. That's a pretty good trade. I know it didn't reap the outcomes that we all had hoped for. But to be honest, he took us to once. He was part of one Super Bowl and 3 NFC Championship games. Not bad. 2.5 championship games. I don't know if he gets credit for this last year or not, but he played well during the season. Um, so, yeah, the 49ers have been pretty dang good when it comes to trading for proven NFL talent. Where they tend to suffer the most is trading in the draft. Like that, it's an interesting trend, right? Like when it comes to trading for proven NFL talent, they've been killing it. Like the value that they get for these players has been fantastic. It's the draft day trades where they move up the board that hasn't panned out that that well. So interesting dynamic between the two. Good out trading for proven pros, but not so good at trading for prospects. Interesting. So maybe if you do want to trade in this draft, maybe take a third and see if you can flip that for another player that's already playing. So we'll see. Um, but we are. Let's see. The combine starts next week. I think on-field drills start on Thursday, so we're a week away from on-field drills at the combine. So we better we got to do our draft prep. It's draft season. I don't know if you got. I don't know. Maybe we save this topic for another day because I could do an entire show, and I've done it in the past multiple times on Brian Burns. So maybe we put a pin in it because I could go down a rabbit hole on this one. And trust me, I've thought about it. And you ask me what it would take. Well, the 49ers don't have first round picks. They don't. But you could offset that value with a player. Don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So I could though. I could go crazy down that rabbit hole, but no, I'm not going to. Maybe there's going to be a one point where somehow we'll figure out how to do a Brian Burns episode. Maybe before free agency begins and they start doling out contract extensions. But we'll definitely see. So I could talk about a potential Brian Burns trade. All right, I'll say this. We don't have first rounders, right? You're gonna need to trade compensation for Brian Burns. The conversation that you have to have as a front office is you have to clearly Brian Burns is top tier talent. So I don't think there are the questions on are we getting a top tier talent? Yes, you are getting a top tier edge player. You're getting a top tier player at a premium position to put across from a premium player in Bosa. And you're putting him in the wide 9. You're putting him with Steve Wilks and Chris Kosarek. Like all that works. Those questions, check. He checks all the boxes. He knows CMC. Him and CMC, phenomenal relationship. He's a great locker room guy. Checks all the boxes. From production standpoint, scheme, fit, all of it. Checks all the boxes. Age, checks all of it. What they would have to decide is, are they willing to trade compensation and then pay him? That's the difficult conversation. Is they would have to be willing to give up and then pay. That's where it gets tricky. But if there's a will, there's a way. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole today. You already know I have, and I've already thought of the ways of how to do it. But we don't need to. We'll save that for another day. But I appreciate all you guys. Good conversation today. Um, again, I wanted to just address the quarterback thing because I know it feels like it's heading that the mood is tense, right? About the quarterback thing. I feel the tensions rising. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I do want to address it. So, and I want to make it clear with where I stand. I want both quarterbacks to be successful, and I already think Brock Purdy has proven he can be successful. But with Trey Lance, now Trey Lance has the op. He's got the opportunity. Now he can show us and prove to us he can be successful, and that's what he's going to have to do. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what he shows us. Because let's face it, he's got a lot to show us. Potential is only potential until it's not. So we know he's got all the potential in the world. Let's see what it is. At fault to him, fault to the organization, fault to whoever, it doesn't matter. It's an is what it is situation, right? So get Trey out there. And again, if I could send a message to Trey, whatever, hypothetical, whatever. It's just you are in the business this year of proving everyone wrong. Everyone. Your teammates, your coaching staff, your organization. You got to prove everyone wrong that Brock Purdy's not the guy. I'm the guy. And I think that's okay because these are competitive athletes. This is a competitive business. It's a sink or swim type business. So I'm okay with that mentality. I'm okay with it. And I want him to have that. I want him to go into this season, blinders on. I'm taking this job. I don't care who you like. I don't care who you don't like. I'm taking it. Good. Do it. Do it. Because again, potential is potential until it's not. So he's got all the potential in the world. Now do it. It hasn't been favorable. We can't make excuses. It is what it is. Go take advantage. So definitely looking forward to it. I hope he's going to get the opportunity. And when he gets the opportunity, I hope he takes the most of it. I hope we're having genuine conversations of like, wow, who do we start week 1? I hope that's where we're at because Trey played so well and Brock's back and we're like, who do we play? That's where I want to be. I don't want it to be a situation where we're like, oh, Trey didn't step up to the plate. You know what I mean? So I want Trey to be successful and I want Purdy to get healthy. And if we're in that scenario, week 1, Trey balls, Brock's healthy, that is a good place to be for the San Francisco 49ers. So that's where I hope to be, and we'll see how that continues to progress. We're not going to talk about the quarterback every day unless we are absolutely forced to. But again, I just wanted to address it. I wanted to talk about it. I see tensions rising. At the end of the day, we want both our boys to ball out, and that's how it should be. So I'm looking forward to it. May the best man win. Is there going to be drama along the way? 100%. There's going to be tons of drama. But we have an opportunity for a true competition on our hands. And I like competition. Competition breeds success. Pressure pressure makes diamonds, all whatever you want to say, any cliche you want to say. It's a good problem to have. So I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully at the end of the day, whoever it is, we find QB1, and that's how we move. Shout out to everyone for tapping in with us on this one. This was a longer one. Definitely grab your cookies on the way out if you stayed start to finish. And I know there are some of you who stayed start to finish. So I've seen you all in the chat. Appreciate the chat today. Chat was, again, we kept it civil, and that's all I can ask for. We don't have to agree. We don't have to see eye to eye on everything, but we can have a conversation. We can disagree, agree to disagree. We keep it civil. That's all we ask for here. So shout out to SDS. You guys were great today. Again, we all have quarterback fatigue. We're tired of it, but it's the world that we live in, and we move accordingly. So shout out to all you guys. Appreciate your interactions today. And again, appreciate all of the interactions throughout this off season. Definitely going to ramp up about next week. And then we're going to combine, to free agency, to draft. So we'll be picking up here pretty soon. So appreciate you guys. We're out of here for now. Smash that like button. And we'll be back tomorrow. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see